So for today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Nobara OS and how to install it as a beginner. Now, first off, you need to go to nobaraproject.org. Once here, you're going to be able to see this website here, and as always, the links will be in the description down below. But what we're going to be taking a look at is download Nobara, which is actually just going to take you down the screen. And then from here, we can actually choose our edition. Now there is the official edition, which is KDE Plasma, but we have a couple of other options as well. We also have a GNOME. Now besides GNOME, we also have a more traditional KDE that isn't all Nobara flavored, which you can choose here. Then we have the home theater PC, which is a little bit more set up for TVs and controllers and just being on the couch. And then, as always, as many distros have, is a handheld specific distro. So what we need to do is go ahead and hit here, download Nobara. Then we're going to be presented with a couple more options. So we have the standard images, and we also have the NVIDIA image. Now for the standard image, that's going to be those of you running AMD or Intel specific GPUs. Now if you are running a NVIDIA specific GPU, I highly recommend that you do hit the NVIDIA download. So what you'll see here is the NVIDIA downloads, which you can choose one of 4. The only one missing is going to be the handheld. And then up here we have the 5 standard downloads. And once you pick the one that you want, you can go ahead and hit download and then start download, and it will download the ISO for you. Now I'm not going to walk through all the steps of how to put the ISO onto a USB, which is what I would highly recommend for you guys to install it into your PC. There are countless guides out there. There's countless different softwares out there to achieve this actual thing. So I don't want to put all these different options here. Now, one thing to note is Nobara actually recommends using Ventoy to do this and get that ISO onto a USB. And one additional thing with this distro that I do want to start off with before we get too deep into the install guide is if you guys want to use secure boot, Nobara specifically states that it is not compatible with secure boot. Now, I haven't really tested this myself because their own documentation says this. There probably is some sort of workaround since Fedora itself can have secure boot. But again, this is going to be a beginner guide. So if you guys want secure boot right out of the box, this isn't the distro to choose. All right, so once we get that USB booted off of our BIOS here, what we're going to be presented with is the grub menu system, and it's going to default to test this media and start Nobara 43. We don't have to change anything, just select that option, which it should already be on, and hit enter. Or if you haven't hit a key yet, I believe it actually boots into this option within like the first 10 seconds. Just be aware that this process can take a little bit of time because it's actually loading everything up into the RAM. It's not actually loading like a typical operating system would, so it's a little bit slower, but it's not too bad. Depending on your hardware, it could take anywhere from a minute to about 5 minutes to boot into the desktop environment. So first up, we have the welcome screen to the installer. We're going to go ahead and just choose our language. We'll hit American English. Now below here, you'll see internet connection found. Now, if you have a good internet connection that is connected and it can see it, you can actually have it update installed packages to the latest version. This means you don't have to wait after the install and get into the OS and then run updates and then restart and everything. It's going to do that all before for you. So I definitely recommend, if you do have the internet connection, leave this check. Also leave the install media codec packages as well. Now it will ask you if you want to do this again after it is installed during the welcome setup screen, but this is another method you can do it just easily from the install. Next, we're going to go ahead and hit the next button. From here, we're going to actually get to the location. Now, mine says Phoenix. You can change the zone to whatever you want. You could change it to New York, anything like that. You can change the entire region. Again, this is all about time and also system language as well. So you'll see here like the number and dates. You can change those to different formatting, and the system language once again, which I think is a little weird because it actually tells you on the welcome screen, but understandable enough. And then we're just going to go ahead. Up next is going to be the keyboard layout here. And since I'm in America, I'm going to go ahead and continue using the English US and the default. So if you know exactly what you want something different, by all means, choose it here. and then just simply hit next. And then from here is where you're actually going to set up your account. Now this is the users section, so I'm just going to go ahead and put Divine Tech as our name. This is going to be the name you want to use as a login. So that's like if you were signing into something, it's going to be the Divine Tech. Typically it's going to try to make it the same as what you put your name. Then comes the name of the computer. We're just going to do VM Nobara, and then moving down here we can just choose a password. Just for the sake of this video, we'll just choose password, and after you put it, it'll tell you if it fails like a dictionary check or something like that. Since this is a VM and just a learning environment, I don't really care, but I definitely recommend if you guys are doing this at home, you make up a secure password for yourselves. Now I will also do reuse user password as root password. That means I have the same password for my elevated privileges. Now if you don't want that, you can make an entirely separate different password. As you can see here, we can just change that to be even more secure or whatever you would like. For the sake of the video, I am going to hit reuse though, and then we have a couple more options. We can log in automatically without asking for the password. That's for those of you that just want it to boot up into the OS and don't have to worry about signing in every time. Personal choice here. I definitely recommend keeping a password. It really doesn't take that long to boot into the environment. I know some people on Windows side like to do it because so many things take so long to load up. But since we're going to Linux is a little bit quicker, so I don't really typically have those issues, and I feel a little bit more comfortable using the password. And lastly, we can do validate password quality. Now this is just going to check the password strength and type and just let you know, did you make a secure enough password? As we can see, since I used password as the password, that's going to fail horribly, but that's fine. I'm just going to uncheck that and we're going to hit next. So with this machine, I already actually had an OS pre-installed on it, so we're actually installing over this. And the reason I wanted to do this is because we're going to see a couple different options here that show up that don't typically show up if you have a blank drive in. Now first up, we're going to select our storage device. Now I only have this 180 gig drive. Some of you might have multiple hard drives. Be very careful and ensure you select the right drive before continuing, because this will wipe out the drive or you can mess up some things. So we have a couple different options. We can do install alongside. So those of you that maybe have Windows and you kind of want to test out Nobara as well, this is a great option because you can select this and it'll actually install side by side, so you can kind of flip flop and dual boot, which is great. Now for the next part, you can actually replace a partition. Now I definitely would not choose this as a beginner level guide. That's why I'm going to kind of just skip over that, but that is a possibility for you to choose. Next up, we have erase a disk. Now this is going to be the one that we want to use, but we do have one other option I want to quickly talk about, and that is the manual partitioning. Now this is going to be more for those of you that are very skilled with Linux already, not the beginner guide that this is really aimed for. So I'm not going to go too deep into the manual partition. We're going to stick with erase disk. Now the reason for the erase disk is because most of you maybe are going to be on Windows and you're just like, I've had enough. Now I want to try Linux out, or I just had this old drive and it's got some crud on it. I just want to wipe it before I reinstall with a new OS. And this is going to be the option we want to use. All right, so we're going to have a couple different options here. So the default swap with Hibernate and the BTRFS is what I'm going to recommend most of you just select. Don't bother with the other options, but I'll quickly briefly talk about some of these things. So no swap is no fallback if you run out of RAM. Only makes sense if you kind of have like a ton of RAM and you're never going to hybrate your machine, but it is not recommended for most users. Now swap, on the other hand, acts as a typical like overflow when the RAM of your system gets full. So it actually uses the hard drive space to kind of be like a temporary RAM backup, and that's kind of what we want to do. But the reason we're going to do Hibernate is because it actually saves your entire session to the hard drive itself and fully powers off. So when you bring the system back online, it brings up everything that you were doing beforehand. So that's going to be the difference between the no Hibernate and with Hibernate. Now the big difference between swap with no Hibernate or with Hibernate and swap to file is going to be that these two here are actually going to make a small partition on your hard drive. Now the other one is a swap to file. Instead of putting a dedicated portion of your hard drive, it's actually going to save it to a file, and that's going to be your biggest differences there. So we're going to go ahead and leave this on swap with Hibernate, and then next up is going to be the three options as we kind of briefly discussed earlier. Now BTRFS is a modern file system with built-in snapshots, which is great for Linux users because we can do things like time shift or rollbacks if something breaks. there are snapshots that we can roll back to. So this takes out a little bit of the guesswork and a little bit of the scariness of going to Linux. We can always roll back if we screw something up. Next is going to be the XFS. Now this one's going to be a little bit faster. It's like a high performance mode. The big difference is it's not going to have snapshots. So again, if you're new to Linux, which this is the guide tailored towards that, use BTRFS. And then lastly, we have ext4, which is an older standard that's been around. Again, it's got no snapshots. I think XFS is kind of trying to take over ext4, but that's just kind of the old method. And I definitely, like I said, I will reiterate this one more time. Honestly, just keep these standard settings here. Don't mess with anything, especially for this guide, because you guys are going to be new. Don't risk messing with things too much. And after we see this, it's going to do the after. It's going to, create these portions here. We can go ahead and hit next. Now here is one thing you guys want to take a quick second. Now, I know a lot of people just want to hit install and get this over with, but this is our summary. We want to verify all this information is correct before we hit install. Now we will have one more screen here that'll ask us and verify that we want to install, but after we verified all this, we'll go ahead and hit install. And here again, we see you will not be able to undo these changes, and we'll go ahead and hit the install now. Now, one cool thing with the Nobara, it's got a little game. You can hit new game here. It's like a little pop-it game. You can play it while you install the OS onto your disk, but we'll just, continue and wait for everything to finish up, and then I will show you guys the next screen. I forgot to mention, although there is a game, you can hit the log button and kind of see what the installer is doing from here as well. Now, after about 10-15 minutes, you should see the screen stating that it's all done. We can hit restart now and done, and it should reboot the machine into the Nobara Linux. Now, do be sure to boot up from your newly imaged hard drive. If you need to take out that USB stick, you no longer actually need it. And then you're going to be presented with a couple different options here. What you want to do is actually the topmost option. That's going to be your most current version. And these are those snapshots we're talking about. So this one is like just post install, a newer install. So we're going to go ahead and hit that. Alright, once the boot up has happened, you're going to be presented with your login screen. As we have chosen to input a password, we're just going to simply do that and hit enter. And now you're going to see the Nobara welcome app. Now, real quick, I'm going to change out the resolution here. We're going to get that nice 16.9 1080p. Alright, so that's a little bit better here. We got a better image. Now I'm going to go ahead and close that. Now when you do boot up, you're going to be presented with this screen. It is the welcome app. So first up is just going to be welcoming you that after you've installed. Next, we're going to go ahead and hit first steps. Now do note at the top left corner, every time you reboot, if this is checked, this screen will come up. It's kind of nice for probably the first couple reboots just so you have it easily accessible. But if you ever need to, you can go into the application launcher and we should be able to find it. It should be called the Nobara welcome app and you'll see it right here under the Windows. So again, if you uncheck this box and you're like, where was that? That's how you can get it back. Now, first up, even though we have done the update through the installer, I would definitely recommend you launch the Update My System. Go through that process, make sure any missing updates are updated. So we'll go ahead and click on that. It's going to load up all the updates. And now that it's come back, we can see that there are 0 updates pending. So good. We can always refresh if we need to, if we think maybe it missed something. But nope, everything was updated during the installer. Next, install media codec packages. Definitely would recommend that. It's going to just be something simple. Now, it should have done this during the install, but I have seen a couple times where it doesn't, and it really doesn't hurt anything to do, but you'll see it's install media codec packages required for video playback and on encode and decode support. Now, just it helps watch videos and stuff like that, so definitely recommend you guys install that. Next up is going to be the Open Driving Manager. Now, depending on which OS version you chose with the installer, some of you might have NVIDIA that you just installed with. It's supposed to install with the Open Driver Manager, but again, you can just launch it and open and download it that way. And then lastly is going to be configuring the automatic mounting of disk storage drives. Now this is going to be for those of you maybe dual booting and you want to still access your Windows drives. You can go ahead, if I could just type my password in correctly. Now once you launch this program, you would see different drives in here that you could click to auto mount. So every time you reboot, you're able to access them as they just get auto mounted. That's really good, like I said, for Windows drives that you want to still be able to access, because by default it doesn't mount those drives, so you can't access them without doing some sort of mounting prior. This is awesome for new beginners like yourselves, and even some of those that are a little bit more familiar with Linux. Now moving on, we're going to go to optional steps. Now we can do the Open Software Manager, install Proton GE. All this stuff is just more apps and things that you may want to launch. I'll quickly just go into the software. Now after the app loads up, you can click on the different categories. You can see there's a bunch of stuff that you can just, install and play around with. It's really easy. Things like, browsers. I think even you can get into Discord for those of you still using that. Just really easy ways to install different software. Moving on to recommended additions. Here it's going to have some more of those more common applications that you can just quickly install and uninstall. So we can do like install GPU screen recorder. Again, here's Discord as well. Because this is a gaming focused distro, it's going to have those kind of things by default. Up next is going to be troubleshoot issues. Now these are just going to be some more info pages that can kind of take you there, and you can kind of see different issues people have and how they've resolved those. Now there is the join the community. There is a Discord and a subreddit, so those of you that might have problems, you can go in there and talk with others that to try to figure out what might be going on. And lastly, you can contribute to Nobara with, paid or even the GitHub itself. Now, that's all there is to the welcome app. Feel free to check out my guide on the KDE customization, but there you go. That is Nobara installed. Pretty seamless, pretty easy, runs pretty well. I would definitely say this is a great experience for those that might be new to Linux. It's just an easy install to get up and running. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next one.